You know, we use them every single day to text, to read, to write, but have you ever just stopped and looked at the letters themselves? Like, really looked at the shapes on your screen? Well, we're going to dive into that because the story of our alphabet, man, it's an epic journey, thousands of years in the making.
Yeah, it sounds like a simple question, right? But the answer? Wow. It connects us to ancient traders, to massive empires, and honestly, to one of the greatest inventions in all of human history. So, let's trace that story. We're going to go from the very first marks all the way up to the letters we're using, well, right now.
Okay, so before we even get to the alphabet, you gotta understand the problem humanity was facing. Think about it. How do you make an idea or a promise or a story last longer than your own memory? How do you actually capture speech itself? That was the big challenge.
Now, you might be imagining that writing started with, I don't know, epic poetry or these grand stories. But nope, the real origins were way more practical. You had these early systems like cuneiform, and they were all about keeping track of grain, recording laws, basically managing the messy business of a growing civilization. Super essential for sure, but also insanely complex. We're talking hundreds of symbols you had to learn. And this is the crucial thing to get. Writing isn't some magical, fixed thing that just appeared. It's a technology, a human invention, plain and simple, designed to solve a very real problem. And you know what happens with technology, right? It gets improved, it gets updated. All right, so think of this as our roadmap for the journey. We're basically following an idea as it gets passed from one culture to the next. It's like a baton in a massive relay race that stretches across thousands of years. And with each handoff, each civilization adds its own little tweak, its own innovation, making the whole thing faster, more efficient, and way more powerful. So, who's up next in the relay? The baton gets passed to this amazing group of innovators, the Phoenicians. Now, these guys were the master traders of the Mediterranean. They were zipping all over the place, and they just did not have time to learn hundreds of crazy complex symbols like cuneiform. They needed something fast, flexible, and super easy to learn for business. You know, for the bottom line. And here's where everything changes. I mean, this is a total game changer. The Phoenicians come up with the first widely used alphabet. See, instead of having a symbol for every single word or idea, they had a symbol for every sound. That was a flat-out revolution. All of a sudden, writing becomes dramatically simpler and way more accessible to everybody, not just some small group of highly trained scribes. So get this, the next time you fire off a quick text message, you can actually thank the ancient Phoenicians and their need for commercial efficiency. Seriously. Our lightning-fast modern communication is a direct descendant of their need to do business faster. It's a perfect story of trade driving innovation. Okay, so the Phoenician system was absolutely brilliant, but it wasn't perfect. It had one big limitation. It was pretty much all consonants. So when the Greeks adopted the system, they ran into a problem. It just wasn't precise enough for their language. They realized they needed a way to represent vowel sounds if they were going to capture their speech accurately. And this is the big aha moment. Just look at this. Before the Greeks, reading was kind of like a guessing game. I mean, you can probably figure out what that says, but your brain is working overtime to fill in the gaps. By inventing and adding specific symbols for vowels, the Greeks made written language crystal clear. Just bam! Suddenly, the words on the page are precise and so much closer to how we actually speak. This was the massive precision upgrade the alphabet was waiting for. All right, the baton in our epic relay race is now being passed to the final runners, the Romans. And what they did was take this incredible Greco-Phoenician system and they refined it. They styled it, shaping the letters into those beautiful, classic forms that we all recognize today. And then, well, then they did what the Romans do. Through their massive empire, they spread it all across the known world. And here it is. This is the final, absolutely crucial connection. The very letters you're looking at on the screen right now are basically, with a little bit of evolution, these same letters that were carved into Roman monuments 2,000 years ago. Think about that. The Roman Empire itself might have fallen, but its writing system, it's still one of the most powerful forces on the entire planet. I mean, just look at the sheer impact of this. The Latin script, it's the foundation for hundreds of languages, spoken by billions of people. English, Spanish, French, German, the list goes on and on. It is, without a doubt, one of the most successful and enduring cultural artifacts in all of human history. It's just incredible. So you see, what we've inherited isn't just a jumble of letters. It's an entire writing system. A complete architecture for visually representing our thoughts and our speech.
A great way to think about it is like it's the operating system that our literacy runs on. So if there's one big thing to take away from this whole incredible journey, it's this. Language is not static. It's not set in stone. It's alive. It's constantly changing, adapting, and evolving through human contact, through innovation, and just plain old necessity. And this quote, this really gets to the very heart of it all. Every single time you write an email or shoot off a text, you are an active participant in this ancient story. You're using a tool that has been sharpened and perfected for thousands and thousands of years. You are a link in that long, unbroken chain.
I mean, think about the journey. From dusty clay tablets to the glowing digital screens in our hands, our writing has constantly evolved to meet our needs. It really makes you wonder, doesn't it? In an age of emojis and GIFs and now AI, how are we going to be communicating 1,000 years from now? What's the next chapter in this incredible story going to look like?